Stay a while. Stay forever.
Let's look at some very early Star Wars blueprint. Now, these blueprints were done by the Kenner team and put into a black Star Wars folder. That folder or book was sent over to the Star Wars design team at Kenner to make the action figures that we all know and love today. Now, all these blueprints come from Series 1 and Series 2 of the Kenner line. Sadly, there wasn't blueprints made of every figure, just Series 1 and Series 2. Now, we're not going to look at these in release order, we're just going to look at them randomly. So let's look at the first one right here, Hammerhead. As you can see here, the blueprint for the Hammerhead action figure. It will show designers the height of the figure and kind of the whole basic look of Hammerhead. These blueprints don't really show any detail in color, just the look of the figure, the height of the figure, the width. It basically just gave the Kenner design team a working frame. Now let's go back to Series 1 and look at one of the coolest aliens from that line, the Tusken Raider. As you can see here, it kind of lays out the design of the Tusken Raider and where the joints should be on the figure. One of the coolest blueprints has to be that of the Stormtrooper. Man, I would love to have this thing framed. An original copy of this blueprint, man, that's some history right there. Let's take a look at the blueprint for the Stormtrooper. And again, as you can see, it gives the name of the figure, the height of the figure, and all the details that a design team would need to know. Now let's look at one of the first human figures for a blueprint, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or as I like to call him, Ben Kenobi. As you can see here, the blueprint really doesn't look like an action figure. It's really detailed more than an action figure would be, and looks more like just a drawing of Obi-Wan Kenobi. As you can also see here, there was no design, at least in the blueprint stage, for a removable cape. The lightsaber is attached to the hand, like the release figure. I know a lot of you is going to say Luke Skywalker is the hero of Star Wars, but if you ask me, at least for A New Hope, that hero is Han Solo. And here's the blueprint for the Han Solo action figure. Sadly, the scans we have of these blueprints make it hard to read the detailed information on these blueprints. Some of the information on this blueprint lets the Kenner designers know what color would be needed for each part of the figure. Now let's look at the evil of all evils, Darth Vader. Here's the blueprint for the Darth Vader Kenner Star Wars action figure. Again, as you can see, it doesn't have Vader with his cape. It does show how the lightsaber will be attached to the hand. And again, we can see joints for the figure. And how tall the figure should be. Darth Vader might be evil, but he's not that evil without his right-hand man. So let's look at the Death Squad Commander action figure blueprint. One interesting fact about this figure, although it's not on the blueprint, is that at first Kenner was going to design two of these figures painted differently. One was going to be the Death Star Commander that we all know today. Another figure that was basically the same, just painted different, was going to be a Rebel Trooper. However, that figure never got more than the mock-up stage, seen here. Of all the princesses in Star Wars A New Hope, the most famous has to be Princess Leia. And yes, believe it or not, there's a blueprint of the Princess Leia Kenner action figure. Let's take a look at that one. And this one here's a little odd, as it only shows the front side of Princess Leia, unlike the other blueprints that show the side view of the figure. And again, we have the notes of what color to make parts of the figure and the height of the action figure. If there was one character in Star Wars that could represent a talking trash can, that would have to be R2-D2. And believe it or not, Kenner did a blueprint of the R2-D2 action figure. Don't believe me? Here it is. Oddly enough, this blueprint for the R2-D2 doesn't have much information on the front of the R2 unit where the sticker was placed. You don't really see anything here that would let the Kenner designers know what the sticker would have looked like on the R2 unit. If R2 has a best friend, that best friend has to be C-3PO. Let's take a look at the blueprint for that one. There's really not much information here, I'm guessing because the figure was basically all the same color. Again, it shows the height and width of the action figure. My favorite Chewbacca in all the Star Wars movies is Chewbacca, because he's the Chewbacca of all Chewbaccas. So let's look at the Chewbacca blueprint and see how many times I can say the word Chewbacca. This one has a lot of detail for a figure that's basically all the same color. Again, we get a look at the front view and the side view of the action figure and where the joints would be placed. And we even get comments on what color the paint should be used for the eyes. If there's one action figure that best represents how they look in the film, it has to be Greedo. I mean, everyone remembers Greedo from the film having a completely green jumpsuit, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, let's look at the Greedo blueprint. And here's Greedo. Again, not much information is here, but I'm guessing because the figure is basically all one color. I mean, even his boots are green, just a different shade of green. We get the side view and the front view in this blueprint. The smallest of all the Star Wars action figures released in Series 1 had to be, without a doubt, Jawa. Again, here's a blueprint of a figure that's all basically the same color. And here we only get one view of the Jawa, the front side. Well, the notes do tell the designers what color to make Jawa and what color to do his eyes. If you feel Han Solo wasn't the hero of Star Wars, there's one other person you might agree was, Luke Skywalker. And yes, we're going to look at that blueprint right now. Here's the Luke Skywalker Kenner blueprint, and as you can see, it has both views, the front and side view of the figure. Again, notes indicating where the joint should be, the lightsaber placed in Luke Skywalker's hand, and the colors needed for the figure. Now let's look at the last blueprint, and it's one that kind of shows how a mistake was made when it came to a Star Wars action figure. Let's look at the blueprint for the blue Snaggletooth. Here's the blueprint design for the blue Snaggletooth, then just known as Snaggletooth. As you can see from the notes on the blueprint, the figure was designed to be 3.75 inches, a standard size of a Star Wars action figure. We also have a date of when this blueprint was designed, January 4th, 1978. So it's very understandable why when the Kenner design team got the blueprints for the action figure, they made him 3.75 like all the other figures in the line. All the reference photos given to Kenner by Lucasfilm, it never showed the full shot of Snaggletooth, so it wasn't until the release of Blue Snaggletooth that Kenner was told that this was a smaller figure and dressed in red. As you can see from the blueprint also, it's very more detailed than some of the other figures. It even has his belt buckle logo. So I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please thumb it up.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.